Aaliyah Dana Houghton, January 16, 1979 to August 25, 2001, known anonymously as Aaliyah, was an American singer and actress. She has been credited with helping to redefine contemporary R&B, pop, and hip-hop, earning her the nicknames the Princess of R&B and Queen of Urban Pop. Personal life. Family. Aaliyah's family played a major role in the course of her career. Beginning in 1995, Aaliyah's father Michael Houghton served as her personal manager, and her mother assisted him. Aaliyah's brother Rashad Houghton and her cousin Jomo Hankerson were with her when she worked. After her father became ill, her brother Rashad became her manager. Aaliyah was known to have usually been accompanied by members of her family. Her brother Rashad stated that the filming of Rock the Boat was the only time her family was not present during a video shoot. In October 2001, Rashad said, "It really boggles everyone that, from day one, every single video she ever shot there's always been myself or my mother or my father there. The circumstances surrounding this last video were really strange because my mother had eye surgery and couldn't fly. That really bothered her because she always traveled. My dad had to take care of my mom at that time. And I went to Australia to visit some friends. We really couldn't understand why we weren't there. You ask yourself, maybe we could have stopped it. But you can't really answer the question. There's always going to be that question of why." Her friend Kidada Jones said in the last year of Aaliyah's life, her parents had given her more freedom and she had spoken about wanting a family. Illegal marriage. Aaliyah reportedly developed an intimate relationship with Kelly during the recording of her debut album. She told Vibe magazine in 1994 that she and Kelly would go watch a movie and go eat when she got tired and would then come back and work. She described the relationship between her and Kelly as rather close. In December 1994, Aaliyah told the Chicago Sun-Times that whenever she was asked about being married to Kelly, she urged them not to believe all that mess and that she and Kelly were close and people took it the wrong way. With the release of Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, rumors circulated about a relationship between Aaliyah and R. Kelly, including the allegation that they had secretly married without her parents' knowledge. Vibe magazine later revealed a marriage certificate that listed the couple married on August 31, 1994, in Sheraton Gateway Suites in Rosemont, Illinois. Aaliyah, who was 15 at the time, was listed as 18 on the certificate. R. Kelly was 27. The marriage was annulled by her parents in February 1995, but the pair denied the allegations, saying that neither was married and that the certificate was a forgery. Jamie Foster Brown in the 1994 issue of Sister to Sister wrote that R. Kelly told me that he and Aaliyah got together, and it was just magic. Brown also reported hearing about a sexual relationship between them. "I've been hearing about Robert and Aaliyah for a while, that she was pregnant. Or that she was coming and going in and out of his house. People would see her walking his dog, 12 play, with her basketball cap and sunglasses on. Every time I asked the label, they said it was platonic. But I kept hearing complaints from people about her being in the studio with all those men." Brown later added, "At 15, you have all those hormones and no brains attached to them." In his 2011 book The Man Behind the Man, Looking from the Inside Out, Demetrius Smith Sr., Kelly's former tour manager, revealed that Kelly married Aaliyah after she told him that she was pregnant. In the 2019 documentary Surviving R. Kelly, Smith described how he helped Aaliyah forge the necessary documents to show she was 18 to marry Kelly. Smith also said he was not proud of his role in facilitating their marriage. Additionally, the documentary revealed that Javon Cunningham, a former backup dancer, claimed to have witnessed Kelly having sex with Aaliyah on his tour bus. Aaliyah admitted in court documents that she had lied about her age. In May 1997, she filed suit in Cook County seeking to have all records of the marriage expunged because she was not old enough under state law to get married without her parents' consent. It was reported that she cut off all professional and personal ties with Kelly after the marriage was annulled and ceased contact with him. In a 2014 interview, Aaliyah's cousin Jomo Hankerson said that she got villainized for her relationship with Kelly, and the scandal over the marriage made it difficult to find producers for her second album. "We were coming off of a multi-platinum debut album, and except for a couple of relationships with Jermaine Dupri and Puffy, it was hard for us to get producers on the album." Hankerson also expressed confusion over why they were upset with Aaliyah given her age at the time. Aaliyah was known to avoid answering questions about Kelly after the professional split. During an interview with Christopher John Farley, she was asked whether she was still in contact with him and would ever work with him again. Farley said Aaliyah responded with a firm, frosty no to both questions. Vibe magazine said Aaliyah changed the subject anytime you bring up the marriage with her. A spokeswoman for Aaliyah said in 2000 that when her Kelly comes up, she doesn't even speak his name, and nobody's allowed to ask about it at all. Kelly later said that Aaliyah had opportunities to address their relationship after they separated professionally but chose not to. In 2019, Damon Dash revealed to Hip Hop Motivation that Aaliyah did not even speak of her relationship with Kelly in private. He tried multiple times to discuss it with her, but she would only say that Kelly was a bad man. Dash said he was unable to watch Surviving R. Kelly because it's interviews with visibly traumatized girls struggling to discuss their encounters with Kelly reminded him of how Aaliyah behaved when trying to recount her relationship with Kelly. Dash later appeared in Surviving R. Kelly, Part 2 in 2020. Other allegations were made about Kelly regarding underage girls in the years after Aaliyah's death, and their marriage was used as an example of his involvement with them. He has refused to discuss his relationship with her, citing her death. Out of respect for her, and her mom and her dad, I will not discuss Aaliyah. That was a whole other situation, a whole other time, it was a whole other thing, and I'm sure that people also know that. In 2016, Kelly said that he was as in love with Aaliyah as he was with anybody else. Aaliyah's mother, Diane Houghton, reflected that everything that went wrong in her life began with her relationship with Kelly. After the documentary Surviving R. Kelly aired in January 2019, pressure from the public using the mute R. Kelly hashtag escalated and RCA Records dropped Kelly from the label. In February 2019, Kelly was indicted on 10 counts of aggravated criminal sexual abuse. In July 2019, he was arrested on federal charges of sex crimes, human trafficking, child pornography, racketeering, and obstruction of justice. When his trial began in August 2021, Kelly faced 22 federal criminal charges that involved allegedly abusing 11 girls and women between 1994 and 2018. Aaliyah's illegal marriage to Kelly was heavily featured in the court case. On September 27, 2021, a federal court jury found Kelly guilty of 9 counts including racketeering, sexual exploitation of a child, kidnapping, bribery, sex trafficking, and a violation of the Mann Act. The judge ordered that Kelly remain in custody pending sentencing, which was set for May 4, 2022. On June 29, 2022, Kelly was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Early life, family, and education. Aaliyah Dana Houghton was born on January 16, 1979, in Brooklyn, New York City, the younger child of Diane and Michael Miguel Houghton, a warehouse worker. She was of African American descent. Her name is the feminine form of the Arabic Ali, meaning highest, most exalted one, the best. Aaliyah was fond of her name, calling it beautiful and saying she was very proud of it and strove to live up to her name every day. When she was 5 years old, her family moved to Detroit, Michigan, where she was raised along with her older brother, Rashad. In Detroit, her father began working in the warehouse business, one of his brother-in-law Barry Hankerson's widening interests. Her mother stayed home and raised her and her brother. Her mother enrolled her in voice lessons at an early age. Eventually, she started performing at weddings, church choir, and charity events. Aaliyah attended a Catholic school, Gisu Elementary, where in first grade she was cast in the stage play Annie, which inspired her to become an entertainer. Aaliyah's mother was a vocalist, and her uncle Hankerson was an entertainment lawyer who had been married to Gladys Knight. As a child, Aaliyah traveled with Knight and worked with an agent in New York City to audition for commercials and television programs, including Family Matters. After failing to land a role on the show, she continued her acting through the Gisu Players. In 1989, at age 10, she appeared on Star Search, where she performed My Funny Valentine. Aaliyah chose to begin auditioning. Her mother made the decision to drop her surname. She auditioned for several record labels and at age 11 appeared in concerts alongside Knight. During her childhood, she had several pet animals including ducks, snakes, and iguanas. Her cousin Jomo had a pet alligator, which Aaliyah felt was too much, remarking, "That was something I wasn't going to stroke." Aaliyah attended Detroit schools and believed she was well-liked, but she was teased for her short stature. By age 15, however, she came to love her height. Her mother told her to be happy she was small and complimented her. Although some children disliked Aaliyah, she determined, "You always have to deal with people who are jealous," but there were so few it didn't even matter. The majority of kids supported me, which was wonderful. Even in her adult life, she considered herself small. She had learned to accept and love herself and added, "The most important thing is to think highly of yourself because if you don't, no one else will." During her audition for acceptance to the Detroit High School for the Fine and Performing Arts, Aaliyah sang Ave Maria in Latin. Aaliyah held a 4.0 grade point average when graduating from high school. She reflected, "I wanted to keep that 4.0. Being in the industry, I don't want kids to think I can just sing and forget about school. I think it's very important to have an education, and even more important to have something to fall back on." She considered a future career teaching music, music history or drama if she did not make a living as a recording artist because, as she reasoned, when you pick a career it has to be something you love. Career 1991 to 1995, age ain't nothing but a number. After Hankerson signed a distribution deal with Jive Records, he signed Aaliyah to his Blackground Records label at the age of 12. Hankerson later introduced her to recording artist and producer R. Kelly, who became Aaliyah's mentor, as well as lead songwriter and producer of her first album, recorded when she was 14. Aaliyah's debut album, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, was released under her mononym Aaliyah by Jive and Blackground Records on May 24, 1994. It debuted at number 24 on the Billboard 200 chart, selling 38,000 copies in its first week. It peaked at number 18 on the Billboard 200, and it was certified 2 times platinum by the RIA. To date, the album has sold over 3 million copies in the US. In Canada, the album was certified gold by Music Canada for 50,000 copies in shipments. In 2014, Vibe magazine estimated that the album had sold 6 million copies globally. Upon its release, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number received generally favorable reviews from music critics. Some writers noted that Aaliyah's silky vocals and sultry voice blended with Kelly's new jack swing helped define R&B in the 1990s. Her sound was also compared to that of female quartet En Vogue. Christopher John Farley of Time magazine called the album a beautifully restrained work, noting that Aaliyah's girlish, breathy vocals rode calmly on R. Kelly's rough beats. Stephen Thomas Erlewine of AllMusic felt that the album had its share of filler, but described the singles as slyly seductive. He also wrote that the songs on the album were frequently better than that of Kelly's second studio album, 12 Play. The single At Your Best, Your Love, was criticized by Billboard for being out of place on the album and for its length. Aaliyah's debut single, Back and Forth, peaked at number 5 on the Hot 100 and topped the Hot R&B/Hip Hop Songs chart for 3 weeks. 2 more singles charted. A cover of the Isley Brothers' At Your Best, Your Love, peaked at number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100, and the album's title track, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, peaked at number 75. Additionally, she released The Thing I Like as part of the soundtrack to the 1994 film A Low Down Dirty Shame. 1996 to 2000, 1 in a Million and Romeo Must Die. If Your Girl Only Knew, 1996. Duration, 28 seconds. 0 to 28. The first single released from her second studio album, If Your Girl Only Knew, was described as a sassy, organ-infused song. Aaliyah was noted for having smoother, more seductive, and stronger singing. Problems playing this file? See Media Help. In 1996, Aaliyah left Jive Records and signed with Atlantic Records. She worked with record producers Timbaland and Missy Elliott, who contributed to her second studio album, 1 in a Million. Elliott recalled Timbaland and herself being nervous to work with Aaliyah, since Aaliyah had already released her successful debut album while Elliott and Timbaland were just starting out. Elliott also feared she would be a diva, but reflected that Aaliyah came in and was so warming, she made us immediately feel like family. The album yielded the lead single If Your Girl Only Knew, which peaked at number 11 on the Billboard Hot 100 and topped the Billboard Hot R&B/Hip Hop Songs for 2 weeks. It also generated the singles Hot Like Fire and For Page Letter. 1 in a Million peaked at number 18 on the Billboard 200 and was certified double platinum by the RIA on June 16, 1997, denoting shipments of 2 million copies. The album went on to sell 3 million copies in the US and over 8 million copies worldwide. The year after her album was released, Aaliyah was featured on Timbaland and Magoo's debut single, Up Jumps Da Boogie. In 1997, Aaliyah graduated with a 4.0 GPA from the Detroit High School for the Fine and Performing Arts, where she majored in drama. The same year, she began her acting career, playing herself in the police drama television series New York Undercover. During this time, Aaliyah participated in the Children's Benefit Concert, a charity concert at the Beacon Theater in New York. She also became the spokesperson for the Tommy Hilfiger Corporation. During her campaign with Tommy Hilfiger, the company sold over 2,400 pairs of the red, white and blue baggy jeans she wore in their advertisements. In December 1997, she performed the Christmas carol "What Child Is This?" at the annual Christmas in Washington television special. She also contributed to the soundtrack album for the animated film Anastasia, performing a cover version of Journey to the Past that earned songwriters Lynn Ahrens and Stephen Flaherty a nomination for the Academy Award for Best Original Song. Aaliyah performed the song at the 1998 Academy Awards ceremony, becoming the youngest singer to perform at the event. Also in 1998, she released the song "Are You That Somebody?", which was featured on the Dr. Dolittle soundtrack. The song peaked at number 21 on the Billboard Hot 100 and earned Aaliyah her first Grammy Award nomination. In 1999, Aaliyah landed her first big-screen acting role in Romeo Must Die. She starred opposite martial artist Jet Li, playing a couple who fall in love amid their warring families. Released on March 24, 2000, the movie grossed $18.6 million in its first weekend, ranking number 2 at the box office. Aaliyah purposely stayed away from reviews of the film to make it easier on herself, but she heard that people were able to get into me, which is what I wanted. In contrast, some critics felt there was no chemistry between her and Jet Li, as well as viewing the film as too simplistic. This was echoed by Elvis Mitchell of the New York Times, who wrote that while Aaliyah was a natural and the film was conceived as a spotlight for both her and Li, they have so little chemistry together you'd think they're putting out a fire instead of shooting off sparks. Aaliyah in 2000. In addition to acting, Aaliyah served as an executive producer of the film's soundtrack, for which she contributed 4 songs. Try Again was released as a single from the soundtrack. The song topped the Billboard Hot 100, making Aaliyah the first artist to top the chart based solely on airplay. This led the song to be released in a 12-inch vinyl and 7-inch single. The music video won the Best Female Video and Best Video from a Film Awards at the 2000 MTV Video Music Awards. It also earned her a Grammy Award nomination for Best Female R&B Vocalist. The soundtrack went on to sell 1.5 million copies in the United States. Artistry. Voice. Are You That Somebody? 1998. Duration, 27 seconds. 0 to 27. Timbaland's stuttering, idiosyncratic productions challenged Aaliyah to reveal her artistic personality more than she had on R. Kelly's smoother musical settings. Problems playing this file? See Media Help. Aaliyah had the vocal range of a soprano, and with the release of her debut album Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, writer Dimitri Ehrlich of Entertainment Weekly compared her style and sound to R&B group En Vogue. Ehrlich also expressed that Aaliyah's silky vocals are more agile than those of self-proclaimed queen of hip-hop soul Mary J. Blige. In her review for Aaliyah's second studio album One in a Million Vibe magazine, music critic Dream Hampton said that Aaliyah's deliciously feline voice has the same pop appeal as Janet Jackson's. According to Rolling Stone, the most remarkable thing about Aaliyah's voice, besides its flexibility and crisp range, was its almost preternatural poise. She always seemed to be holding her power in reserve, to know every side of the scenarios she described, while Sion Patton from Mixmag stated that she doesn't try to toss the cobber with vocal athleticism. There's no shouting, screeching, wailing, or jazz-style noodling. Everything is underplayed. Ms. Houghton's range is displayed by the slightest high-octave backing and tiniest harmonies. Aaliyah herself said her vocal styling consisted of her singing softly while utilizing her falsetto. She further explained saying, "My signature style is breathy, tone-wise, airy. It's simple, but I can ride a crazy track." Although she frequently sang in a softer tone, there were moments when she utilized other facets of her voice. Never Given Up, 1996, and The One I Gave My Heart To, 1997, are a few standout vocal highlights. Daryl Simmons, the producer of The One I Gave My Heart To, recalled Aaliyah doing opera vocal warm-up exercises in preparation for the song's recording. While commenting on her doing opera vocal warm-ups, Simmons mentioned, "It was the furthest thing I would have ever thought that she could do. It just blew my mind." The song's writer, Diane Warren, praised her vocals on the song, saying, "It showed her vocal range, and I know a couple of people thought she wouldn't be able to do that song." I thought, no, she'll be able to do that. Variety echoed a similar sentiment as Warren, saying the one I gave my heart to showcased Aaliyah's ability to hit higher notes. Discussing her approach on Never Given Up, producer Craig King said, lyrically and vocally she just took you to places that you didn't know she could go. Musical style. From the very beginning, she opted for an edgier, more mature sound, and her songs were often uptempo and at the same time often dark, revolving around matters of the heart. She easily straddled the hip-hop and pop worlds, never projecting the frilliness of her ingenue peers. In 2001, Aaliyah called her sound street but sweet, pairing feminine vocals with a gritty urban rhythm track. In another interview she further spoke about her artistry, saying, I love to fuse other types of music with my own. She explored a wide range of genres such as R&B, pop, hip-hop, funk, soul, and dance pop. Altogether, Aaliyah's music can be described as alternative R&B, progressive soul, and neo-soul, according to Times Farley. Discussing her lyrical content in the new Rolling Stone album guide, 2004, Keith Harris said, when it came to sexual availability, she was between En Vogue maliciously taunting "you're never gonna get it" and Tweet blankly cooing "oops, there goes my shirt." Lyrically, her first two albums carefully towed the line between adolescence and adulthood, displaying a woman exploring the terrain of love, trust, and lust, one who exuded a playful innocence while hinting at a more sultry side. Aaliyah did not usually write her own lyrics. The only time she had a hand in writing is on the song Death of a Playa from the Hot Like Fire single, 1997. She co-wrote that song with her brother Rashad Houghton, and it reflects Aaliyah's dark perspective on romance. 98. Of her role in crafting her music, Aaliyah said, I like to have the final say, but I was trained as a singer, actress and dancer, the interpreter, bringing other people's words to life. I need the songs to reflect me in one way or another. After her Kelly produced debut album, Aaliyah worked with Timbaland and Missy Elliott, whose productions were more electronic. The duo mixed choppy, nervous rhythms over loops of computer-generated backing tracks, and incorporating harmonies which, within the genre's limited horizons, seemed daring. They also created the freeze-and-stop style of singing on top of bass-heavy instrumentals, which became Aaliyah's signature style. Aaliyah's songs have been said to have crisp production and staccato arrangements that extend genre boundaries while containing old-school soul music. Khalifa Sana of the New York Times called her a digital diva who wove a spell with ones and zeros, and writes that her songs comprised simple vocal riffs, repeated and refracted to echo the manipulated loops that create digital rhythm, as Timbaland's computer-programmed beats fitted perfectly with her cool, breathy voice to create a new kind of electronic music. She released musically risky singles into a notoriously fickle pop market, without being concerned about conforming to the stereotypes of the marketplace. Her songs gracefully walk a line between commerciality and experimentation. 102. Reviewing her album, British publication NME felt that Aaliyah's radical third album was intended to consolidate her position as US R&B's most experimental artist. As her albums progressed, writers felt that Aaliyah matured, calling her progressive near-flawless declaration of strength and independence. ABC News noted that her music was evolving from the punchy pop-influenced hip-hop and R&B to a more mature, introspective sound on her third album. Stephen Thomas Erlewine of AllMusic described her album Aaliyah as a statement of maturity and a stunning artistic leap forward, and called it one of the strongest urban soul records of its time. She portrayed unfamiliar sounds, styles and emotions, but managed to please critics with the contemporary sound it contained. Ernest Hardy of Rolling Stone felt that Aaliyah was displaying stronger technique, giving her best vocal performances. Influences. As an artist, Aaliyah said she was inspired by a number of performers. These include Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, Sade, Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails, Korn, Donny Hathaway, Johnny Mathis, Janet Jackson, Whitney Houston, and Barbra Streisand. Aaliyah said that Michael Jackson's Thriller was her favorite album and that nothing will ever top Thriller. She said she had always wanted to work with Janet Jackson, to whom she had often been compared, saying, I admire her a great deal. She's a total performer. I'd love to do a duet with Janet Jackson. Jackson reciprocated Aaliyah's affection, saying, I've loved her from the beginning because she always comes out and does something different, musically. Jackson also said she would have enjoyed collaborating with Aaliyah. Music videos. According to director Paul Hunter, from day one, Aaliyah wanted her videos to stand out from clips by other R&B singers. He stated, "You can watch programming all day and see a certain type of video by female artists, then when one of hers comes on, it's something special, something different to look at." That's what she was about. Christopher John Farley from Time stated that Aaliyah's videos, for the most part, are about mood, not about storylines. Her videos are usually lushly shot and infused with sexual tension, though not in overt and obvious ways. Alicia Akwe from Teen Vogue felt that, "There's much to gather while watching an Aaliyah music video. In fact, she thinks that watching them is actually an understatement." Akwe further explained, "There's a state of hypnosis you submit to as she envelopes you through sight and sound, tugging at your heartstrings." Between a sequence of sensual, strong movements, infectious instrumentals, and intuitive lyrics that spark emotions of desire, sex, and empowerment, you are enraptured in Aaliyah's physical presence. Most of Aaliyah's videos included dance routines. While discussing her video choreography, Billboard mentioned that she coined the smooth choreography and tomboyish style that would inspire R&B's future generations for years to come. Vibe praised several videos, saying, "Looking back on her videos like Try Again and Are You That Somebody, Aaliyah's talent in all of those techniques of dancing are apparent, as she's able to hit every syncopated word and beat with ease as if she's moving on air." Kyension Williams from NME named Are You That Somebody as a visual that pushed the boundaries when it came to dance breaks in music videos. Williams declared, "Until that time, dance breaks were usually reserved for boy bands like NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys, but Aaliyah claimed it for R&B stars too." Public image. Aaliyah focused on her public image while protecting her private life. She felt that it was important to differentiate yourself from the rest of the pack. USA Today said, "Her slinky vocal style and eye-popping videos made her a crossover star, while her persistent protection of her privacy added an air of intrigue about her." According to Aaliyah, "I put a lot of pressure on myself to be true to myself and not let anything else influence me to do what someone else is doing. Being a little edgy and sexy is me. My image isn't a put-on. I'm happy to put over that dark edge in my videos because it's always been there. I used to wear my sunglasses or have my hair over one eye a lot more when I was younger. Now, I'm happy with all aspects of myself." 88. She often wore baggy clothes and sunglasses, stating that she wanted to be herself. Aaliyah also wore black clothing, starting a trend for similar fashion among women in United States and Japan. In 1998, she hired a personal trainer to keep in shape and exercised 5 days a week and ate diet foods. As her career progressed, she went through so many fashion revamps. For example, when she changed her hairstyle, Aaliyah took her mother's advice and covered her left eye, much like Veronica Lake. The look has become known as her signature and been referred to as fusion of unnerving emotional honesty and a sense of mystique. In regards to her fashion choices, writer Jeff Lores described her as a model of understatement. According to Lores, she's beautiful, but hardly in a high-gloss, supermodel way, more like a really good-looking girl next door. And rather than bling-blinging her ice in a ghetto-fabulous manner befitting her trumped-up surroundings, she blinks on the down-low, a subtle bracelet here, a winking pendant there, offset by her simple black jeans and matching sweater. Trace Cole, former TRL host Carson Daly, said that she was cutting-edge, always one step ahead of the curve, and that the TRL audience looks to her to figure out what's hot and what's new. Aaliyah was often praised for her clean-cut image and moral values. Robert Christgau of The Village Voice wrote of Aaliyah's artistry and image, "She was lithe and dulcet in a way that signified neither jailbait nor haughty and ingenue, whose selling point was sincerity, not innocence, and the obverse it implies." Emil Wilbekin told CNN, "Aaliyah is an excellent role model because she started her career in the public eye at age 15 with a gold album, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. And then her second album, One in a Million, went double platinum. She had the leading role in Romeo Must Die, which was a box office success. She's won numerous awards, several MTV Music Video Awards, and aside from her professional successes, many of her lyrics are very inspirational and uplifting. She also carried herself in a very professional manner. She was well-spoken. She was beautiful, but she didn't use her beauty to sell her music. She used her talent. Many young hip-hop fans greatly admire her. She was also seen by others as a sex symbol and didn't have a problem with being considered one. I know that people think I'm sexy and I am looked at as that, and it is cool with me," she stated. It's wonderful to have sex appeal. If you embrace it, it can be a very beautiful thing. I am totally cool with that. Definitely. I see myself as sexy. If you are comfortable with it, it can be very classy and it can be very appealing. Aaliyah also felt though her image was risque and sexy, it was important to remain respectable because she wanted to make songs that everyone could relate to without it being vulgar. When she participated in fashion designer Tommy Hilfiger's All-America Tour Tommy Jean ads, she wore boxer shorts, baggy jeans and a tube top. Hilfiger's brother, Andy, called it a whole new look that was classy but sexy. The single We Need a Resolution was argued to have transformed the once tomboy into a sexy grown woman. Relationship with Damon Dash. Aaliyah was dating the co-founder of Rockefeller Records, Damon Dash, at the time of her death. Although they were not formally engaged, Dash claimed the couple had planned to marry. In interviews given after Aaliyah's death, in the summer of 2000, Aaliyah was introduced to Dash by his accountant and they formed a friendship. Aaliyah never publicly addressed their relationship as anything but platonic. Due to their hectic work schedules, Aaliyah and Dash were separated for long periods of time. Jay-Z mentioned Aaliyah and Dash in the remix of her song Miss You, released in 2003. In August 2021, Dash told Entertainment Tonight's Kevin Frazier, "I was reflecting that there hasn't been one day since she's passed, not one in the 20 years, that I haven't either heard her name, heard her record, or seen a picture of her. Every single day she's present in my life and I feel lucky for that." Death. Further information, 2001 Marsh Harbor Cessna 402 crash. On August 25, 2001, at 6:50 p.m. EDT, Aaliyah and some employees of her record company boarded a twin-engine Cessna 402 light aircraft at the Marsh Harbor Airport in Abaco Islands, the Bahamas, to travel to Opa-locka Airport in Florida. After they completed filming the video for Rock the Boat, they had a flight scheduled the next day, but with filming finishing early, Aaliyah and her entourage were eager to return to the U.S. and decided to leave immediately. The designated airplane was smaller than the Cessna 404 on which they had originally arrived, but the whole party and all the equipment were accommodated on board. The plane crashed and caught fire shortly after takeoff, about 200 feet, 60 meters, from the end of the runway. Aaliyah and the 8 others on board, pilot Luis Morales III, hairstylist Eric Foreman, Anthony Dodd, security guards Scott Gowlin, family friend Keith Wallace, makeup stylist Christopher Maldonado, and Blackground Records employees Douglas Kratz and Gina Smith were killed. The passengers had grown impatient because the Cessna was supposed to arrive at 4:30 p.m. EDT, but did not arrive until 6:15 p.m. Another charter pilot, Louis Key, said he overheard passengers arguing with their pilot, Luis Morales, before takeoff, adding that Morales warned them that there was too much weight for a safe flight. Key added, he tried to convince them the plane was overloaded, but they insisted they had chartered the plane and they had to be in Miami Saturday night. Key indicated that Morales gave in to the passengers and that he had trouble starting one of the engines. According to findings from an inquest conducted by the coroner's office in the Bahamas, Aaliyah had severe burns and a blow to the head in addition to severe shock and a weak heart. The coroner theorized that she went into such a state of shock that even if she had survived the crash, her recovery would have been nearly impossible given the severity of her injuries. The bodies were taken to the morgue at Princess Margaret Hospital in Nassau, where they were kept for relatives to help identify them. Some of them were badly burned. As the subsequent investigation determined, the aircraft was overloaded by 700 pounds, 320 kilograms, when it attempted to take off, and was carrying one more passenger than it was certified for. The National Transportation Safety Board reported the airplane was seen lifting off the runway and then nose down, impacting in a marsh on the south side of the departure end of runway 27. The report indicated that the pilot was not approved to fly the plane. Morales falsely obtained his FAA license by showing hundreds of hours never flown, and he may also have falsified how many hours he had flown to get a job with his employer, Black Hawk International Airways. Additionally, toxicology tests performed on Morales revealed traces of cocaine and alcohol in his system. 176. Funeral. An open gate revealing the road to enter a cemetery, surrounded by grass, flowers, and trees. The main entrance to Ferncliff Cemetery, where Aaliyah is interred. Aaliyah's private funeral mass was held on August 31, 2001, at the Church of St. Ignatius Loyola in Manhattan. Following a procession from the Frank E. Campbell Funeral Chapel, her body was set in a silver-plated copper deposit casket, which was carried in a horse-drawn, glass hearse. An estimated 800 mourners attended the procession. Among those in attendance at the private ceremony were Missy Elliott, Timbaland, Gladys Knight, Lil' Kim, and Sean Combs. After the service, 22 white doves were released to symbolize each year of her life. Aaliyah's brother Rashad delivered the eulogy and described his sister as giving him strength. "Aaliyah, you left, but I'll see you always next to me, and I can see you smiling through the sunshine. When our life is over, our book is done. I hope God keeps me strong until I see her again." He read the names of the other victims of the crash and concluded by asking mourners to pray for them as well. As Diane Houghton and the mourners left, they sang Aaliyah's song "One in a Million." Posthumous releases. 2001 to 2014, Queen of the Damned, compilations, and single releases. Immediately after Aaliyah's death, there was uncertainty over whether the music video for Rock the Boat would ever air. It made its world premiere on BT's Access, granted on October 9, 2001. She won 2 posthumous awards at the American Music Awards of 2002, Favorite Female R&B Artist and Favorite R&B/Soul Album for Aaliyah. Her second and final film, Queen of the Damned, was released in February 2002. Before its release, Aaliyah's brother, Rashad, redubbed some of her lines during post-production. It grossed $15.2 million in its first weekend, ranking number 1 at the box office. On the first anniversary of Aaliyah's death, a candlelight vigil was held in Times Square. Millions of fans observed a moment of silence, and throughout the United States, radio stations played her music in remembrance. In December 2002, a collection of both previously unreleased and released material was issued as Aaliyah's first posthumous album, I Care For You. A portion of the proceeds was donated to the Aaliyah Memorial Fund, a program that benefits the Revlon UCLA Women's Cancer Research Program and Harlem's Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. It debuted at number 3 on the U.S. Billboard 200, selling 280,000 copies in its first week. The album's lead single, Miss You, peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and topped the Hot R&B/Hip Hop Songs chart for 3 weeks. In August of the following year, luxury fashion house Dior donated profits from sales in honor of Aaliyah. In April 2005, Aaliyah's second posthumous album, a double CD plus DVD box set titled Ultimate Aaliyah, was released in the United Kingdom by Blackground Records. A documentary movie Aaliyah Live in Amsterdam was released in 2011, shortly before the 10th anniversary of Aaliyah's death. The documentary, by Pogus Caesar, contained previously unseen footage shot of her career beginnings in 1995 when she was appearing in the Netherlands. In March 2012, music producer Jeffrey J. Dubwalker announced that the song Steady Ground, which he produced for Aaliyah's third album, would be included in a posthumous Aaliyah album. Aaliyah's brother Rashad denied Walker's claim. On August 5, 2012, Blackground Records released the track Enough Said, which was produced by Noah 40 Shebib and features Canadian rapper Drake. 4 days later, Jomo Hankerson claimed a posthumous album was being produced that would feature new production by Timbaland and Missy Elliott, who both later denied being involved with the project. The album was scheduled to be released by the end of 2012 by Blackground Records, but its release was shelved. In June 2013, Aaliyah was featured on the track Don't Think They Know by Chris Brown, which appears on Brown's 6th studio album, X. Timbaland voiced his disapproval for Enough Said and Don't Think They Know in July 2013, but later apologized to Chris Brown, explaining that Aaliyah and her death were a very sensitive subject. 2015 Present, Merchandise, Catalog Re-Release, and Unstoppable. In May 2015, Aaliyah was featured on the Tink track Million, which contained samples from her song One in a Million. In September 2015, Aaliyah by Zyrina, an official tribute fragrance, was announced. On December 25, 2015, Timbaland released the mixtape Kings Stay Kings, which includes the unreleased Aaliyah song Shakin' featuring rapper Strato. In June 2018, MAC Cosmetics released a cosmetics collection inspired by Aaliyah. The Aaliyah for MAC collection, which was priced at $250 and sold out within minutes. MAC and ID Magazine partnered up to release a short film titled AZ of Aaliyah, which coincided with The launch. On August 21, 2019, the Madame Tussauds Museum unveiled a wax figure of Aaliyah at their Las Vegas location, modeled on her appearance in the Try Again music video. 4 days later, Aaliyah's family announced that they were in talks with record companies to discuss the future of her discography. In March 2021, Funko Pop released an Aaliyah figurine. In August 2021, Blackground Records announced that Aaliyah's recorded works would be re-released on physical, digital, and streaming services in a deal between the label and Empire Distribution. Aaliyah's estate issued a statement in response to the announcement, denouncing the unscrupulous endeavor to release Aaliyah's music without any transparency or full accounting to the estate. 1 in a Million was reissued on August 20. After the album's re-release, 1 in a Million re-entered the UK official hip-hop and R&B albums chart top 40 at number 8. In the US, the album reached the top 10 on the Billboard 200 for the first time at number 10, selling 26,000 album-equivalent units in the week ending of August 26. Aaliyah was reissued September 10, 2021. After the album's re-release, Aaliyah re-entered the UK official hip-hop and R&B albums chart top 40 at number 7 and re-entered the US Billboard 200 chart at number 13. In celebration of the reissue, Blackground released an animated commercial titled It's Been a Long Time, in a similar style to the album's original 2001 commercial, directed by Takahiro Tanaka, showing Aaliyah resurrecting her music from out of a large underground vault. Compilation albums I Care For You and Ultimate Aaliyah were reissued October 8, 2021. Ultimate Aaliyah peaked at number 8 on the UK R&B albums chart top 40 and charted for the first time in the US at number 41 on the Billboard 200. On August 25, 2021, Barry Hankerson revealed in an interview with Big Tigger for WV that a posthumous album titled Unstoppable would be released in a matter of weeks. The album was said to feature Drake, Snoop Dogg, Ne-Yo, Chris Brown, Future, and use previously unreleased vocals from before Aaliyah's passing. On December 17, 2021, Background Records released the posthumous Aaliyah single Poison featuring The Weeknd. On January 4, 2022, Hankerson claimed that Unstoppable would be released later that month. However, it did not see a release and there was no related announcement from the label. In January 2024, Blackground Records hinted in an Instagram post that the release was coming. Legacy and influence. Aaliyah has been credited for helping redefine R&B, pop, and hip-hop in the 1990s, leaving an indelible imprint on the music industry as a whole. According to Billboard, she revolutionized R&B with her sultry mix of pop, soul, and hip-hop. Peter Piatkowski from Pop Matters stated, much like Janet Jackson's Control set a template of sorts for dance pop divas in the 1980s, Aaliyah's patented brand of black pop, which was a melange of hip-hop, electropop, and soul, set a standard against which other young urban pop singers were judged. In a 2001 review of her third album, Ernest Hardy from Rolling Stone professed that Aaliyah's impact on R&B and pop has been enormous. Steve Huey of AllMusic wrote Aaliyah ranks among the elite artists of the R&B genre, as she played a major role in popularizing the stuttering, futuristic production style that consumed hip-hop and urban soul in the late 1990s. Critic Bruce Britt stated that by combining schoolgirl charm with urban grit, Aaliyah helped define the teen-oriented sound that has resulted in contemporary pop phenoms like Brandy, Christina Aguilera, and Destiny's Child. Described as one of R&B's most important artists during the 1990s, her second studio album, 1 in a Million, became one of the most influential R&B albums of the decade. Music critic Simon Reynolds cited Are You That Somebody as the most radical pop single of 1998. Khalifa Sana of the New York Times wrote that rather than being the song's focal point, Aaliyah knew how to disappear into the music, how to match her voice to the bass line, and consequently helped change the way popular music sounds. The twitchy, beat-driven songs of Destiny's Child owe a clear debt to Are You That Somebody. Sana asserted that by the time of her death in 2001, Aaliyah had recorded some of the most innovative and influential pop songs of the last 5 years. 101 music publication Popdust called Aaliyah an unlikely queen of the underground for her influence on the underground alternative music scene. The publication also mentioned that the forward-thinking music Aaliyah made with Timbaland and the experimental music being made by many underground alternative artists are somewhat cut from the same cloth. While compiling a list of artists that take cues from Aaliyah, MTV Hive stated that it's easy to spot her influence on underground movements like dubstep, strains of indie pop, and lo-fi R&B movements. Erica Ramirez, an associate editor of Billboard, said at the time of Aaliyah's career there weren't many artists using the kind of soft vocals the way she was using it, and now you see a lot of artists doing that and finding success. Ramirez argued that Aaliyah's second album One in a Million was very much ahead of its time, with the bass and electro kind of R&B sounds that they produced, and that the sound really stood out at its time, was being replicated. 236.